So Morbid Metal is basically what happens if you take Devil May Cry's combat style and throw it into a roguelite structure. The hook is that instead of finding new weapons during your runs, you unlock different characters that you can then swap between instantly mid-combo. The game is made by Ubisoft, so it might be understandable that I was very surprised when I realized that they actually cooked here. There are 3 characters in early access. Flux is this fast teleporting guy with throwable blades. Who swings around this massive sword that is actually bigger than his whole body. And you can also unlock Vedka as you progress through your runs. The combat here feels pretty damn smooth. You can start a combo with one character, swap to another mid-fight, and keep the momentum going. Each character has multiple variants of their special abilities that you can find during runs. The game tracks your performance with a ranking system, so pulling off stylish combos without getting hit keeps your rank high. The combat has this status effect system called Leak, which is basically robot poison. You can stack it on enemies and they take damage over time. And if they die while leaking, it spreads to nearby enemies. Building around this stuff can get pretty wild. There are also these drone companions you can get that float around shooting enemies. But honestly, so far they're not as exciting as just stacking more leak damage. Your special abilities do run on cooldowns of course, but there is an energy system for your ultimate attacks. You build that energy by fighting and maintaining your combo rank, then spend it to unleash big moves. Something I genuinely like is how responsive your character moves. There is no input lag, no clunky movement or button presses. The movement is very fast paced here, which makes the runs very exciting and high octane. Each run does play out like most roguelites. You go through rooms fighting enemies, picking up upgrades called routines that modify your abilities, and eventually hit a shop where you can buy more upgrades with the chips you collect. Then you fight a boss at the end. The upgrade system during runs is pretty typical roguelite stuff. You can get an upgrade that makes your teleport attacks crit on full health enemies, or one that makes leak last longer. There are also these things called Corpora, which are basically passive stat boosts, but you can only hold 3 at first, until you unlock more slots through the permanent progression. So let's take a look at this meta progression system. After your death, you keep this currency called Void Matter that lets you unlock permanent upgrades back at your base. Some of these upgrades are pretty important, like the counter mechanic. You also collect soul cores from bosses that unlock other permanent upgrades. The meta progression unlocks some quality of life stuff too. For example, being able to use the item upgrading machines and having a shop appear in your starting room. The game also has some secrets tucked away around the levels, and these survival arena challenges that give you extra loot if you can last a certain amount of time. There is also something that I have not seen myself, called Devil's Bargains, that supposedly give you high risk, high reward choices, but these don't seem to show up super early. There is no map here, so you have to remember where you have been, based on how the doors look. The levels reuse layouts sometimes, so once you learn them it gets easier to navigate. Now for the early access stuff. Right now you get 3 playable characters, but only access to the first couple of zones. There are supposed to be more environments and content coming, but they are not in yet. The game also doesn't have difficulty modifiers at the moment, which might be an issue depending on your skill level, though most of these games don't really come with difficulty modifiers to begin with. Some people here are probably going to breeze through, while others might still struggle. The pathing and pacing could also use some work. Sometimes you're just running down long empty hallways between fights, without much happening. These hallways do look nice, but it would be nice if there was something happening. And it would probably feel better with more branching paths, or meaningful choices about which direction to go. Still, the combat itself here is very fun. The sound effects are meaty, the synergy potential is definitely there, and nailing the perfect dodge with an immediate counterattack simply is satisfying to watch here. So this one mixes both character action games and roguelites together pretty well, but definitely be aware of the early access limitations. And this sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.